In this video, I'm going to be making some fun magical items for my new RPG zine called Dragontown. So I've been in the thick of writing this zine, planning out all the quests and fun places to explore around Dragontown. I got to a point and I realized I haven't given any thought to treasure. So to be perfectly honest, my method of awarding my players magical items and treasure in my D&D games is to look through the Dungeon Master's Guide or find cool items online that I think my players are gonna be excited about. So whenever I see a cool magic item online, I save it to a Pinterest board or on Instagram. And actually, pro tip, one of my favorite resources for magic items is this illustrator named James Gifford. He has a great Patreon that I'll link in the description below. And he had an awesome Kickstarter for this deck of 60 cards, assorted magical items, lots of super memorable items that I've given my players from this deck. Anyway, the point is, I usually give my players the kind of items that they want specific to their character. And I'm the type of DM that once they're comfortable with their class abilities, I like to start loading them up with fun and creative magic items just to get their imagination going. So sometimes I offer them up in a shop, sometimes they are a reward for a quest, and other times I make up entire encounters just so I can reward my players with a cool new weapon or some trinket that gives them a new ability. So now I have run into a problem. I'm writing this Dragontown zine and I don't know who the players are gonna be. But Dragontown is supposed to be an adventure, so there has to be rewards and treasures and magical items. I just don't have the luxury of curating them to my players' specific tastes. So instead, I've come up with a handful of fun items that fit into the setting I'm creating, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they feel useful and fun to all kinds of different players out there. Hopefully. I hope so. Now let's jump over into Photoshop where I'm going to be drawing these items, and I'll explain to you my approach to homebrewing magical items. Let's go. So the first major consideration I took when coming up with these items is power level. So Dragontown is a low-level adventure meant to take players from the first to the third level, just to get them going, you know. So none of the items I'm creating are super powerful. I guess in D&D terms, these would be considered common magic items. So on a power level scale, I like to think of that as a cantrip spell in an item form. You know, it's utilitarian, but it's also magical and fun. Alright, so I think there's a couple of things that make a magic item good. First thing is, do the players think it's cool? I think the easiest way coolness can be achieved is by making the player feel powerful, like they've discovered a newfound advantage in their adventure. For example, this unseen ring that I'm drawing makes whatever object the wearer is holding invisible. You know, it's perfect for a rogue. This ring could really give a slippery-fingered thief some serious advantage on their sleight of hand maneuvers. And honestly, my thought here is that anytime somebody can turn invisible, it always makes them feel cool and powerful, right? Okay, the second thing I think makes a good magic item is if something is super useful. You know, if an item is practical and can save the player money or time or hit points or any other resource they might have, that item becomes super useful and is worth a premium. So in the previous video, I talked about the Calamar Crypt, and I mentioned a rat that would help the players find some treasure. Well, this cloak, the sated mantle, is that treasure. So the symbol of the family that used to rule this area is the black bear, and all the nobles of that family had black fur traveling cloaks imbued with hibernation magic. So the idea is when the player sleeps while wearing this cloak, they'll wake up with a full belly, just like they ate a big meal. Now, this might not seem like the coolest cloak ever. It doesn't make the player feel more powerful, but if you've ever played in a realistic OSR type of game and you've run out of rations while you're adventuring, you know how absolutely useful this cloak, this sated mantle, really is. Okay, the third thing that can make a magic item interesting is how well it fits into the setting of the adventure. So if you're running a game in a magical world, the people of that world want to use magic just like the players do. So think of it as like things the NPCs in the world find cool and useful and also help them navigate their day-to-day lives. So for example, this beetle whistle is cool and useful only because it makes living in Dragontown specifically that much better. So here's what I mean. The apple farmers of Dragontown use these giant stag beetles to harvest the apples in their orchards. So the beetle mandibles are perfect for shaking trees and also work for collecting fallen apples. The only problem is the giant beetles don't take kindly to be ridden around, much less being told what to do. So in comes this magical item, the beetle whistle. So blowing into the whistle emits a faint humming sound that calls and calms the giant stag beetles, and it basically allows the whistler to ride and loosely control these giant beetles. So this whistle would be a pretty common magic item for the farmers around Dragontown, but maybe not common anywhere else. It makes sense in this world and this place specifically as a magical object that would actually exist. And the nice thing is it gives some context and history to the world, and on top of that, it's fun for the players because, you know, who's not going to want to ride around on a giant stag beetle? Okay, so once the players reach the end of the Dragontown adventure, they might be granted a boon from the dragon of Dragontown, a gift from its horde. Now, I'm not actually listing out these magic items for this section of the zine, but there will be some suggestions for the dungeon master who's running this Dragontown adventure. So unlike the common magic items given to the players so far, a gift from the dragon should have some tangible power bonus. You know, at this point in the adventure, the players are going to be level 3, maybe 4. It's time to give them something extra special. So something like a piece of armor that allows the wearer to avoid critical hits, a +1 weapon, or a trinket that boosts a stat point. And while increasing the player's power is cool and feels awesome, items that just do that are not super memorable. You know, these items are a gift from the dragon because you have completed this adventure and saved Dragontown. So they need to have a little bit of extra flair to make them feel super special. So, you know, things like maybe the magic item contains the spirit of a heroic animal, or it's been blessed by a god, or maybe it's something as simple as it emits purple fire. You know, add something that makes the item more fun, more useful, or something that gives a little bit of context to the world of Dragontown or outside of Dragontown. I'm not sure that this is how the items in the Dragontown zine will be presented on these cards, but this is how I like to give my players their magic items. Actually handing the players a tangible item, even if it's just a little card, a little piece of paper printed out, it makes the magic item feel that much more special. So I'm hoping you found this video helpful. I would love it if it inspired you to create your own magic items. If you have any questions about my process, leave them in the comments. If you'd like to learn more about this Dragontown zine I keep going on about, check out the other videos in this series. I'm leaving a link in the description to the Dragontown playlist. I still have a ton of work to do on it, but I'm going to be bringing you along in the form of these videos. So be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to be alerted when new Dragontown videos go up every week. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!